I think this year, if he does, like if he can run 19.7s consistently, I think he's going to find his way back on the team again. And I think for him, he always seems like it's next challenge, next challenge, next challenge. So he's not going to be satisfied with just the 100 title. So I expect this to be the beginning of a long push to get in on that 200. And you're right, though. The problem is there's a 1931 guy.
I mean, I think Kerley should skip the 200 and try to get to 4 and try to do the 1-4 double. That's what I've been saying. I feel like that's, if he wants to do history, we've seen 1-2 doubles. They do it all the time. Nothing special about it. Bolt, all right, yeah, he does it. You know?
Yeah.
Who cares? But 1-4 double, we don't see those. Those don't grow on trees. Those don't even grow in imaginations. But Kerley could have that ability to do something like that. And, you know, maybe Michael Norman was seeing that, and he's like, oh, I got to get ahead of this. Fred Kerley's going to try to get into my event. I'm going to hop into his event, and we're going to go at it together. I got to prevent him from doing the 1-4, so I'm going to get 2 opportunities to prevent him from getting the 1-4 double.
Yeah, you're going to have a lot of confused people, though. Wait, what's wrong with the 200? Why is everybody avoiding this event?
You see Noah Lyles just sitting there and be like,
nobody wants to race me.
No one wants to hang out with me.
Yeah. Well, USL is a good team. They could sweep again with the 3 that they had. I'm just fascinated by the fact that the 200 poses such a unique challenge, not just to him, but to other athletes as well, because it is different than the 1. It's obviously a lot different than the 400 as well, too.
I thought one interesting thing about this Kerley race is I asked Noah Lyles after USA's what he thinks Kerley's going to run the 200 in. Mm-hmm. And Noah, being himself, was very like, oh, let's see, it's a 24-hour flight, blah, 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 this, that. And he'll probably run 20 point something, right? And I said, is there anything that he could run that would surprise you? And he says, if he ran sub 20, he would be like shocked. Mm-hmm. And I think that means something, because if the fastest guy in the world would be impressed with your season opener, that means he knows you running sub 20, Rustbuster off of airplane in Australia, he knows like that's equivalent to medal contention. That's equivalent to someone I got to keep an eye on.
We all fall victim to the lower number here, the lower number bias, I guess you could say, right? 1999, not all that different than 2001.
Yeah.
But the headlines, if he runs 1999, are going to be so much different. Or say it's windy. It's a windy 1995 versus a wind legal 2005. Like your whole perspective changes on it, just depending on how you view those times. So elsewhere in this meet, you got a pretty good mile shaping up in the mid distances. Oliver Hoare, Sam Tanner, Matthew Centrowitz, and Ryan Gregson. So Centro went down there to run a few races. He's already run an 800 down there, ran like 156.
Dead last.
Yeah, it didn't go well for him. We know what Oliver Hoare's been doing. He goes from Millrose to World Cross. So he's going to run indoor, cross country, and outdoor all in the span of 2 weeks. That's pretty cool. That doesn't happen that much. Versatile runner. He's sharp. For Hoare, I think it just depends on what he wants to get out of this race, because he's certainly ready to go right now. He's in, obviously, short distance shape from indoors, and then he's has to be adjusted now to being down there because he already has run one race.
I'm not really looking to get anything out of how Hoare does in this race. I think the main story is and even with Sam Tanner's in that race, he's been running pretty well. Gregson, another great miler. I think it's all about Centro. And I know that we've been kind of stung by him with his early season performances in the 800, and we're like, hey, does he have it? And then he comes out and runs, a consistent Olympic trials. Sure, he gets second to Hoare, but clearly he was in the different class from the rest of everyone else. But Centro, still coming off an injury, runs a 156 800. If he comes out here and doesn't runs another kind of clunker, I get it. It is February, and he doesn't need to be fit in February. But age is there, injuries coming up on him, potential back-to-back clunkers. You could think maybe maybe 2021 was the last team that Central will make. I think that's possible.
After he ran that time, I saw Nick Willis post about Alan Webb back in the day ran this, opening an 800. And basically, the moral of the story was like, throw out your opener 800. If you're a miler, it's like it just doesn't matter. I'm looking at 2021, open with a 150.9 in Miramar, got sixth. Actually, he ran a 1500 before that in March and ran 340. So he had two rough ones. The next one was the track meet, middle of May.
And he ran well.
335, yeah. And then it was a 146 at Portland Track Festival. And then we were at Stumptown. He ran a bunch. Remember that was when he ran the 800 three times. And then he was at trials and he got second.
Played basketball phenomenally in the bubble, and then everyone thinks they're going to get that AD. Well, he did it in 2020. It's going to come back a year later. Just because you have one reference of like him pulling it off, of having a slow start and a good end, doesn't mean he's always going to be able to do that. And you have to take into fact that was 2 years ago. That wasn't last week. 2 years ago, he did the slow, now I'm good.
And he's done that a couple times. I'm looking at 2019. He opened with a 146.
Yeah, okay. He did a couple times. 19 was 4 years ago. What did he do last year?
Yeah, he was hurt. He didn't run.
Yeah, so like that's a factor. And I think that
I'm just saying we're going to know because this field is really good. This isn't a situation where he's hopping in a low-key college meet. He's going against Oliver Hoare, Sam Tanner. These are guys who are fit, in shape, world championship caliber finalists. A guy who's just run a 350 mile. I think if he's anywhere close, like the grading scale has changed for him, obviously, right? Given that he's coming off an injury and he's later on in his career. Success for him is just making a team this year.
Yeah.
He's not going to say that probably. I just want to get the jersey one last time, but success is for him making a team. And if he's anywhere close to Oliver Hoare, I think that's great news for him.
But I feel like no matter what he does here, we're going to look at it in a good light. If he runs well, you look at it in a good light because he runs well. If he runs bad, we'll say, well, he ran bad in 2021. He's fine. And I just want to say, like, we can't hold on to 2021 as like a justification for every bad race that Central has. I think
there's some athletes though that throw out like openers. They're always rough, and he's won now. 156 is different than what he's done in the past, obviously.
Yeah.
But he's coming out off of an injury, like a serious injury, with a whole year off. That's a little bit different too. Again, there's not gonna be any mysteries. You're gonna be able to see it pretty clearly, unless the race is just very strangely run.
Yeah.
But if it is a somewhat normal mid-distance clash, you're going to get out of this race a good idea of where he is relative. Because
I think it's going to go out slow.
Isn't Oliver Hoare a pretty good barometer, though?
Yeah, but I think it's going to go out in like 159.
Okay. Well, then we'll see how well he can close off of 159. Because guess who's going to be able to close off of that? Oliver Hoare.
Yeah.
Oliver Hoare is going to be able to close off of it. Tanner's going to be able to close off of it as well, too. Next one.
I'm just saying, if he runs bad, we can't say, well, 2021 he ran bad, so we're fine.
That was mostly for the first two, but everybody fixated on that 800. They didn't really pay attention to that first 1500. So 2 in a row, people are going to be more concerned as it goes along. Okay, what else?
A couple other notable races happening in Australia. Lyndon Hall's running a 3K. Stuart McSwain is going, Swain or Sween? McSwain running a 3K as well. Yeah. But the women's 1500, I think, is going to be interesting. Emma Coburn staying in Australia, running in this race. Yeah. Heather McLean in this race, and Jessica Hall in this race. So it's a good 1500, mainly between McLean and Hall, two sub-4 type runners. Excited to see what they do. Coburn, she has some mile experience to her career, but she's not the same as a Hall and McLean. But
Hall has looked really good in that relay as well too, and McLean has looked stellar. Like she looked stellar in the U.S. in the indoor season. So I would expect Hall to get the win at home. I think she's capable of running fast. It's just a matter of running quick times. You talked about Rust Buster, people running slow, but look at how fast a lot of people run indoors. Like people can run fast in mid to late February. Most of the time it's at the BU track or it's at another indoor track. Maybe it's at Leven. So this is an interesting test because I think a lot of these athletes are in really good shape to run fast times right now. But do they ease off? Like, do they just go for something conservative and safe because it's outdoors? and they know they have a long outdoor season in front of them. Because if this was an indoor meet and we read off all these start lists, we'd probably be like picking faster times. But I think we get in the habit of thinking, oh, it's an outdoor opener, it's going to be low key. But why not? Why wouldn't they go for it here if they're fit?
Yeah, why not?